Hi guys, welcome to a tutorial on how to extract some photo or extract your drawing from your scanned picture. So what I've done is I just scanned this image into Photoshop. So obviously you can see it's very dull coloured and not very bright, or it's not really dark, I should say. I don't know if you can say bright or dark, but so this is just a scan drawing of a stippling job I did. You can, when you scan in, you can see all the rubber pen marks that I've when I coloured that section in, the different types of tones in the black. So when I've got this image, I obviously scanned it in. The first thing I would do is go to my image adjustments and overexposure. Because this is a black image of mine, I always just get the gamma control and just bump that up. As you can see, the more you bump it up, well, if you lighter it, it feels like a light scan. The more you go darker, it gets darker. And obviously that just boosts the images straight away. So that's my first point of call, and that will give me two things. One, it makes my black outlines very strong, so they're already nice and awesome, I guess you could say that. And second of all, when I want to do my getting rid of the white background, because obviously after this one I always get rid of my white backgrounds. Now I'm just trying to think of which way I'll do this. Probably the first one is I would go to my color select range, drop on anywhere white, stay in about the mid-range area, about there. That gives me a good trust of getting rid of a lot of the extra dust dots that I scanned in and a bit of everything. So press OK for that one, and then just delete. That will give me a full white background. Now I can see that I've done a little bit over, so I want to resize this a little bit, give this image a little bit of correction to make that. Shouldn't have seen that, but oh well. I will magic tool that out. Makes it a lot easier, I guess, just to, instead of doing the color selection again. So that's done, hopefully. Alright, so color selection done. Now I want to obviously I want the white background back in for the X in the middle, because what I'm going to do is start colouring it. Now this is a perfect way anyway. If you want to save it right now for any vector images, so you can layer that on top of anything, I would say that as a PNG right now. So a vector is always bad. So go to File, Save As. I'll keep it as my rose image, but I'll just go down to PNG. And that creates a vector, so you can drop it into anything you want at later dates. But right now I want to colour this in. So first off, now that I've made that nice and dark, I'm going to make a new layer, because I want to put the white background in again. So over here I've got my color swatches set to default. The default one's black and white, so that will give me back. I'll just rotate that. Got my ink drop paint bucket, and there we go again. Because I've got two separate layers, I can come into my first layer, name that black, and I'll name the background color, or the white I guess, make it simple, easy. Because I've already separated it, and I know this is a drawing, I'm going to get my eraser tool, because you can see all these little black dots outside the image where the color select still didn't hit it so well. I'm going to get my eraser tool. That's E4 on the keyboard, or just on wherever your tool panel is, and just click over here and get rid of all the black marks that I don't want. So jump around, got it on full capacity, full flow, just jumping in, erasing every bit of mark that's going to show up on my images. So I'll just go around holding the space bar so I can move my picture around a bit. Just so there. Might enlarge that size. I'm dealing with a little bit more. I'll actually shrink it here. So yeah, I'm just using the eraser tool just to eraser tool just to get rid of all the unwanted black marks. I even check inside my image. Sometimes there's a couple of marks that just don't look right. Here we go. There we go. Now you could also do this with your full color images as well. I do it a lot of times. I just erase the background, so you always do the grammar exposure on the image, just to bring, because the scanner always lightens the colors up from what it started off with. So grammar expose it to make it a nice dark color, and then come around here with the eraser tool and clean it all off like this. So you've got a nice clean background. Because I'm using sharp images, I know what I've got. A nice straight edge. I want to clean these up as well. I'll just click that on that, hold my shift key and get rid of the unwanted lines, just to make my image just a little bit more straighter and more what I wanted it for. Alright, so that's my background image all taken care of now. So depending on what you want to do with it, obviously save as a vector, save it as a white background, perfect for what would you call it for? Perfect for colouring in books. So this would be absolutely stunning for a colouring in book. And that's it. That's pretty much what I would do for my cropping and pre-sensitizing before I hit my color of my thing. So now I'm going to step into the colored version of it. So I just want to check to see, because when I scan in black and white, I needed to change my images to mode, which will be RGB color. So that's all changed correctly to color. So first off, after that, it's now outlining. I want to, for a trick for a lot of people, is that they all start coloring in like this. So you create a new layer and you'll drop it under your black, you put that in there, and then you just start coloring in. A lot of people fall into this mistake. It's outside the black lines. How do you keep it so neat, so going around these little areas, just going around bit by bit without taking forever? Well, there's a simple way of doing that. So when I've got my black outline, I want to select all the outside. So just the magic tool should work. Did work. So I've got my whole magic tool on the outside. Just want to make sure it did it. Oh, it's copied a lot of stuff. So, and then I can control insert. So I'm only really copying what I want to see on the outside, which is still a lot of thing. Make a new layer, obviously, and I will jump in and fill it with a foreground color. Because I've used red, I know what's around and what's thing. So that's my background, my foreground color. Hit the red, so I can see what needs to be touched up, what still needs to be erased, and what still needs to be cleaned up a little bit. There's obviously a lot of stuff that's out here that's still floating around, so I'm just going over my black layer still. The one beauty thing about drawing with pencils and pens for hours on end, you still get a lovely range of different colours on the outside. Okay, so why aren't you... Right, so I'm just going around having a look to see what I've missed. Now, I will jump onto the red area, and I will now erase everything again. As one does, it's all about using the eraser tool. Cleaning up anything that's underneath that black that's not supposed to be there. Anything that looks really nasty on your image that's coming out. Because I'm using the black, it's not going up. The black's going to be the final colour. I can just click there. Because what I'm doing now is setting up to draw my colours. So I need to make anything that's red is what I'm using as a fill-in layer. So anything red is what's going to be filled in with a different colours, so you need to make this as straight and as clean as possible, because obviously this is going to show up in your artwork later on. A magic tool thing. I wonder if my settings of my magic tools are a little... tolerance is... yeah. That might be the reason why. My tolerance level is still up really high for some reason. Once you clean up all your images, it will be ready to put the colour in. Okay, so that's my red background. So what you do with those colours is, I want it now to turn it white, because that's the... So I just press the whole Alt on, or the Control on the actual keyboard, hover over my layer selection and press that. Now I just go to my default colours and I will F5, fill in the foreground to white. You know, don't know any difference now. But that gives me a layer that I can get rid of my white layer, and I have just the white on the inside done. So after that, I will click on my black layer again and press the Control button, and get my brush tool, and I want to go over a nice black big black pen over the top of it, just so I fill up any white marks, any white gradients or anything like that. So that's just completely filling up my black. So when you come in, zoom in here, it's really got to zoom in to find any errors in the color. So the reason why I created, actually, that was wrong. So I'm filling in the black again because I coloured the white one in. You normally do that. So yeah, when you scan in, it's all nice and flush and black. See, different shades. I actually used the wrong screen back then. Yes, it does happen when you don't lay your screens and you're not looking. So you can see that when you zoom in, it's just a nice clean black now. Everything is clean. There's nothing on the outsides. So I will go back to my white layer, white mask I should say, white mask. And that is the first layer I create. The second layer, and now I want to make a new layer up because I'm going to start colouring in. So what I do is a new layer, and you press above the white mask, you press the Alt button on your keyboard, and you see how the triangle, when I'm over my layer section, a little down arrow with a thing, that gives you a layer sort of scenario that's inside the mask layer. So remember when I said most people when they colour in, they try and colour in straight away and it goes all over the place? Now that I've got my little white layer, my white mask layer, just where I want is white, and it's my white mask, I put the Alt button because I created the second layer inside it. When I go to colour in anywhere, it only colours in where there is white. So that makes it a lot easier for when you're going to do the leaves and everything, when you get into fine detail, you're not going outside the edges. So for an instance, if you do the my banner on this picture, now instead of having to slowly, painstakingly draw very neat around the inside of this, when my keyboard starts to work, instead of having to go very clean staking around it, I can just get a big brush and colour in as so. It shoots down the time a lot on the information that is required and the colouring in process. You don't go outside the lines. You're not there forever racing or erasing, I should say, your image. So I'm just going to now colour in that banner as one does. So I'm just using a brush tool, wiping back and forwards on my bamboo tablet. You might hear the scratching of the tablet. And see, I'm not having to worry about going outside the lines because the lines are already, I got the white mask down the bottom. You won't see any white later on the image except for the outside, but we're not showing any of that right now. So when I'm colouring in, it's just going to be a simple one of just getting all the colours in the right areas for what I want to think. So I'm not having to estimate and guess and where things are going and be very particular and careful so I'm not going outside my lines. It's pretty much doing it all for me as a guessing, because all you have to do is create a white mask. And you don't have to use white. I just use white because it's my the colour that I use as a base, because you never know what colours I'm going to be turning into. You can also do this if you're drawing a beach ball and it's or a basketball even. A basketball is orange, so save yourself the time. Create an orange background or an orange mask one, and you've done the pretty much the whole basketball. You just physically need to create the shadows of things. So you've done the whole job. But when you're getting to detailed images like this, your preference on what color you want. If you want to use grey, go ahead and use grey. It's totally up to you. I've always, because I do it on a white piece of paper, it just seems fitting that I continue to have a white background. Just makes me know which areas I need to colour in, which areas I haven't coloured in, because when I do my white highlights, it's usually at the last trying to dial the images down. Okay, we'll just get a few more things done here. Because I put every colour or every stage on a different layer, I can always go back and rechange the colours if I want later on. So it's always, most people, it's of personal preference. Some use this one layer for the one thing, like the banner, they'll use 3 different shades, 3 different things. I'll probably use 2 layers for it, one for the actual shading and highlights, but this one for the main colour. So then if I don't like that kind of brown later on, I can change that later. Because I'm doing another colour, which is a completely different thing. I'm going to be doing one green, so I just rename my layer green. And hold that Alt button down again, because that's going to go onto my layer mask again. This whole row of images over here on my layers panel is all going to be allocated to the white mask again. So I'll find the green that I want and zoom in, and I don't have to worry about anything rather than just colouring in that green mask. So it saves you so much time if you create that layer mask. It might take a little bit of time to prepping, but in the long run, you're not having to go over the straight edges and cleaning up everything at the end. You just go and start free-falling all your colours on top of each other. I mean, yes, this one is a little bit easier than normal because I've got such a big black outline of it, but this is how I start off with all my images. I just create that layer mask, which brings you out that whole lot of detail. And it saves you having to worry about going outside the lines or outside your actual work area. Because there's nothing of seeing little tiny bits of speck a different colour when you're uploading it onto t-shirts or different coloured objects. You say, oh, what's this big white mark doing on there? It's terrible. So I'm just going around again. Right. Okay. So yeah, I do talk to myself a lot. I do understand that it's an old habit of mine. This is the first actual recording that I've ever done while I'm doing the thing. Usually I record it and then do the time-lapse or do the tutorial over it, but I've just brought myself a new rodeo shotgun mic, so I'm very excited about doing this tutorial at the same time. So I'm not quite sure what to expect. It's just something different for me now. I really hope this works, because the amount of times I sit here and I edit photos and I edit pictures and I'm colouring in, I go and teach my followers and my Patron fans and my social media people all my tips and tricks about how much I've done over 33 years of learning by myself, completely self-taught in all this. So if you're watching and you are a Photoshop expert, or you've been using Photoshop as you know, you might have different tricks, but this is what I've taught myself over the 30 years of drawing and 18 years of using Photoshop. And that's, yeah, I've haven't had we've had Photoshop for a very long time, but I've had probably someone teach me without using YouTube tutorials. Probably 3 hours of that entire time back in 1995, and obviously things have changed by then, and my style of images have changed as well. So you can see that I just press the ink button or the eye selection because I just missed a bit of my banner. I'm just going to go back and colour that in. So once that's, as you can see, that's why you use these white backgrounds, just so you can see that you've missed a few things. Okay, bring that up. Look at that. It's getting there, people. It's getting there. Okay, so the question of the day is, what do you do the roses? What colour do I do these roses? I wish I could ask for suggestions right now. Unfortunately, I'm not live. But thinking well, purple doesn't really work. Do we do red? Do we do a red rose, people? Do we do a red rose? Or light pink? What about light pinks? There's my pinks. I think a light pink might actually work. Let's have a look. Let's create another layer. If you do them inside it, because you've got a few of them, it'll automatically do that. Go to the layer mask. So I'll just do my very light pink rose, I think. Bit weird, but hey, let's see what light pink does. Well, does it work? People, does it work or not? I don't know. I don't know. Let's just have a play around and see what happens. I will just... because this is just the darkness of the rose coming in. Because I'm doing a whole lot of different highlights very shortly. Does pink work? Does pink actually work? It's one thing about trying to work out what you're doing with your drawings. Another thing is finding out what colour to use. Now, I don't know. What do you guys think, eh? Gone over. It's not right. Okay. So I bring that in again. I'm just mucking around. Well, at least I get all the colours down first, and then I can play around with the shading and everything. The fun part. This is just really just getting the two-tone, what you call it, just a two-tone, just making sure that everything is right before you go spreading the colours around. I'm thinking I might make this a little bit of a lighter pink. It's just a tiny white, because yeah, this pink's just too exorbitant of the colour. It just doesn't seem to mash well with me. This is more the colour that you use as a highlight for this type of thing. Oops. Just wanted to check to see which one I've done it under. Sometimes it's easy if you've done a good job with the brush and you want to fix it. You can move these layers around so you don't have to worry about going under too many things like that. Now, people, does pink work? Or pink does not work, does it? Pink does not work. I want to try this for colour. What about this? No. So now I'm going back to see, let's just do red. Let's just do a bright colour. That brings it out, doesn't it? That's more what you want. Yeah. See, when you take the alt off, you can see how much of a mess that is. This is what you do when you use that old frame. It all comes in. You can see how messy my screen is, but when I alt it back in, it's nice and flush, nice and clean. So I want to do another layer here. I just want to worry about doing on the whites. Because now I'm doing my shading. On my shading, I won't be using obviously a hard brush or a hard swirl. You want to use a nice feathered thing to give you the nice gradient details of what you're asking for. So, and I just pat that down like that. I'm at 100%. I'm just trying to work out what I'm doing. So I will turn down the flow to about 50%, because what you want to do is when you're flowing with a drawing, you got that nice part there, but you want to just darken that up a bit. So you're using one pen for the same, or the one color for the same pressurized. But you can just sit here and bring the colors up to flush mount it with the other ones. If you know what I mean, you just 50%, you can color in, but then you go, oh, I want this a little bit darker, I want this a little bit lighter. I will just go over the same spot twice or something. So I'm using one pen for a whole lot of different colors, and all I'm doing is just playing by ear where I want to go right now. I'm just having a feel of my picture. I'm actually not sure if I'm doing the right colors or the right thing. Just wanting to bring out that image a bit, bring out the different shades. Best thing about shading is you don't have to be spot on all the time. Your light and highlights, you don't have to be exactly, oh, this is not in line, this is not in line in this one. It's because you're just playing with it. You just want to have it feel around, because you'll be going over it again after this time. You make another layer and you're going after this. I don't know how many times I keep on going over it just to understand where I'm going with and what I'm working with. I just keep creating new layers on top of new layers. If you go too far, you can always just delete that one layer and go back instead of going, oh, I've got to restart again. So right now we're just bringing that up there like this, like that. There we go. Okay, so that's my roses done for the light layer. Now I want to make a little, oh, that's going to be different. I'm going to bring this, because I've got to use a darker colour now, I'm going to bring it down a little bit more, create another layer. Might just zoom in for this one, see what I'm doing here. 22 is a little bit too dark, or too light. I want to 53 it. So all I'm doing now is going around where I did the spots, making a shadow on my actual dark areas. This is my dark shadow. I got my highlights, I got my darks. This is just filling in that spot. This is here where, I mean, some people use the highlights as their guidance, or as I said, you don't have to be too cautious about your whites or thing. I don't be cautious because I like to draw in dark colours, so I'm a little bit more pedantic of where I'm going to place my dark images. Or my dark tones, I should say, not my dark images. So I'm going to be working with my whites around that, but then I'm also bringing out the dark side of my picture. Oh, I didn't know, I forgot to do that. Okay. So you can see I go around the edges a lot to hide it from the... And you can see the difference in the tones. So... bring that in again. So, obviously you can see it's getting some body into it, it's getting some shading into it, it's caressing itself into a nice three-dimensional image. You just keep here and working for a bit, and it shades. You do that to the same as you do it with to the all the other colours. Like when I'm going to be doing my banner later. So you get your banner, you get a darker colour on your banner, and you just bring that out like that. So I'm thinking I'm going to end the talking tutorial right now. But I'm going to time-lapse the rest of it. So I hope you learnt a bit from my tutorial and everything. I'm going to get right into drawing this image. So please come along and watch the time-lapse. Or continue to watching the speed to see where this actually comes up to. Because all I'm doing now is I'm going to add a few extra layers on top of layers, getting the dark tones and the light tones on top. So as it's all just... make sure you will have your white mask on it, because that way you don't have to, once you do it, you don't have to worry about going outside the lines. See, I am completely outside the lines. But if you use a white mask on your image, you can bypass all the jagged lines and move straight onto the actual detail itself. So I hope you learnt a bit from my tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Otherwise, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook. Come be a supporter of my Patron page. Great discounts, great monthly rewards. Give you a step-by-step tutorial. So, hope you had a great time. Thank you very much.